Hello everybody, welcome to this instruction video. In this video I'd like to show you how to make the fourth square in the Crochet Along Last Dance on the Beach by Scheepjes. This square, which will be making these lovely little waves, has been designed by Atty from the same blog and of course in loving memory of Marinke. Depending on which kit you have, you'll either have Color Crafter or Merino Soft yarn. Please check the pattern for exactly which color you need in which kit for this week. For my Color Crafter blanket I needed a 4mm hook this week, and for my Merino Soft a 4.5mm hook to get the square to the correct size. But maybe you need a different hook size altogether. That depends on your personal tension and way of working. So I used a 4mm for the Color Crafter, and that's also the yarn that I'll be using in the video. I'll show you step by step how to make these cute waves, and I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you for watching. I have a slip knot on my hook. I'm going to start by making 30 chain stitches. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 29 and 30. 30 chain stitches. Now going to go back, and on the third chain stitch from your hook going to work your first half treble and then work a half treble on every next chain also. So the third chain from the hook, work a half treble and work a half treble on every next chain stitch also. And then you're working 28 half trebles in total. And this row is of course very similar to what we've done before, because many of our patterns up till now have had half treble rows. So work a half treble in every chain stitch. A few more half trebles to go, and of course also in the last one, or actually this first chain stitch, also make a half treble, like so. Then you've made 28 half trebles, and that completes row 1. For row 2, going to work another row of half trebles. So chain 2 and turn your work. Your chain 2 does not count as a stitch, so this means you're going to work immediately in the first stitch, that space there. So we're making half trebles again, so in that first stitch work a half treble, and on the next you're again going to work 28 half trebles, so 1 on each stitch. Almost to the end of row 2, working a half treble every stitch. And here towards the end, your last treble is on your last stitch. Here's your last stitch, and then you have that chain 2 there. You're not going to work on the chain 2. Your last position is the treble, or is the stitch from the previous round, so you're working a half treble on there. And then you've worked 28 again in total. The next round we're going to be building our first set of waves. Row 3, and we're going to work waves in this row. Do chain 1 and turn your work. Now, a note on where we're going to be working. If you look at the stitches from the top, you see here you have a loop that's facing you, and you have a loop here at the back. And you're only going to be working in these front loops, these loops that are facing you at the moment. Those are the loops we're going to be working in, and the loops here to the back, we're going to leave them for row 4, because then we're going to be working in those. So everything in this row, you're only working on these front loops here. I'm going to start with 5 double crochets in the first 5 stitches, so 1 on each. So in the first stitch, you see I'm only using that front loop, work a double crochet. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 double crochets. And you see here to the back, you see that loop that's still there, because you're going to be working in that loop in the next row. So make sure you're only working in the front loop. You've done 5 double crochets, and now we can start the first wave. You're going to build it systematically. So you start with a half treble. In the next stitch we make a treble crochet, then a double treble, so that's twice over, and then a triple treble. It's 1, 2, 3 times over, and again only in the front loop, and then you take it off 4 times. In this last stitch you're going to repeat in the next one also, so another triple treble, 3, 4. So you can see how you've now built this wave up. You're now at the top of the wave and you need to come down, and you're going to do that by making a chain 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Come down, and in the same position where you made this last triple treble, so in that exact same position, next to it you're going to make a slip stitch. And then that completes your first wave. And we're going to be doing lots of this little motif. 3 double crochets on the next 3 stitches. So 1 on each. So 1, again only front loops, 2, 3, and now we can make another wave. So we're going to do exactly the same as we've done there, we're going to do here also. So a half treble, followed by a treble, double treble, and a triple treble. I keep confusing the double trebles and the triple trebles. My brain somehow doesn't want to get itself around that. And then another triple treble. If you say that fast enough, it's a tongue twister also. 2, 3, 4. Now you're again at the top of the wave. To come down we do a chain 5, come down, and in the same position where you just work that last triple treble, work a slip stitch. That's your second wave, so you now have 2 waves. I'm going to do it once more, so 3 double crochets, and our last wave, and that brings us almost to the end. So a half treble, treble, a double treble, and a triple treble, and of course need to make 2. 3 times over, 2, 3, and then chain 5, come down with a slip stitch. At this point you should have 2 stitches left. You see here, 1, 2, and on those 2 you're going to work a double crochet in the front loop. So that's the first one and the second one. And that completes row 3 and also your first set of waves. And this, what you've just done with these waves, you're basically going to repeat the entire pattern, but just sometimes a bit to the left, sometimes a bit to the right. But if you can do these waves, you can do this square. Row 4, I'm going to start with a chain 2 and turn your work. Chain 4, we're going to be working a background for the waves. Actually, we're going to be starting that process, and we're going to be working in these loops that you have here to the back. You left these untouched during row 3, so now you're going to be working into those loops. I'm going to quickly open up my stitch because I want to show you is this very first loop, this one here. Don't accidentally miss or skip this first loop because this is an important one because it's easy to just not see. So this is where you want to be making your first stitch. We're going to be making basically a half treble in every loop, and we're also going to be making our stitches from the bottom to the top you insert your hook. Then your stitches look best. Do not work like this. So your stitches look best if you insert your hook like this. So we're basically going to make a half treble on every stitch, and for the first one you're going to have to fold your work just a little bit over, and that chain 2 is also there to help you do that. So yarn over and the first half treble in that first loop. And now you basically work a half treble in each and every loop that you have here to the back. And you continue until you're to the other side. I have a few more to do on these last loops. You see here 2 more, and those are the last 2. And number 28. So that's 28 half trebles that you've worked here to the back. And if you're in doubt as to whether you've made the correct number of stitches, for example, that you're in doubt whether there or not there's an extra loop there or not, just count your stitches, and that should be 28. For row 5 and 6 we're going to be working half trebles in this row that we just made. That's chain 2, turn your work, so now you have the front of your work facing, and in every stitch you're going to be working a half treble. Also the first one again, because your chain 2 does not count as a stitch. It's 1, so you're working 28 half trebles. 2, 3, 4, and do not worry that your waves are still dangling a little here to the front. We're going to be connecting them in row 7 when we make our next set of waves, so don't worry about that. That'll all work out. What I'm now doing is I'm working a half treble on every stitch, and you're going to do exactly the same for both row 5 and row 6. So you're now making 2 rows of half trebles. Almost to the end of row 5, and I just want to show you the corner and the turn here, because it's easy to make a mistake here. Working my last half trebles, and you see here I've got 2 more stitches, those 2. This is the last stitch and the stitch just before, and then you have the chain 2 here. you don't want to work on that chain 2, only on your stitches. So this here is a stitch, and this is the last stitch, and this stitch can be a little hard to see because you do have that chain 2 there. So that is the last stitch you're working in, and then you see that is the chain 2 here that you're not working in. And if you're in doubt, just go back and count all your stitches to see if you have 28 stitches or if you've got 29 or 27. Then you know that you've got the right or wrong amount of stitches. And then row 6 you do exactly the same. Chain 2, turn, and work a half treble on every stitch. It's 1, 2, and continue until you're to the end. Now onto row 7. In row 7 we're going to be working a new set of waves and also connecting these waves we have down here, connecting them to our work, because they're of course still dangling here, and that is of course not how it's supposed to be. Start with a chain 1. This is to bring you to the correct height. And again in this row, just like you did here, you're only going to be working in those front loops. So only in the front loops of your stitches. Start with a double crochet in the first stitch. And now we're immediately going to start a wave. So that's a half treble, a treble, still everything only in the front loops. A double treble and a triple treble. Everything in the front loop. And you do, of course, 2 of those. Now you're at the top of your wave again, and you come down with a chain 5. Come down and connect in the same position as we had the triple treble with a slip stitch. Now we're going to make 3 double crochets and then connect these waves, or actually this wave, to our work. So work a first double crochet in the front loop, and now in the second double crochet we're not going to work immediately into the front loop, but first we're going to catch this wave here at the bottom, and we're going to catch it between the chain 5 space and the stitch that's next to it, this triple treble stitch here. Between those two, insert your hook in there, and then in the stitch where you want to make the double crochet, that front loop only, and work the double crochet. And then on the next stitch again work a double crochet. And you can see how you've now connected this wave here to the top of your work. And we're going to be doing that for each wave, that in that second of those 3 double crochets you catch the wave. Now we're making a new wave. So that's a half treble followed by a treble, a double treble, and then a triple, and you need to make 2 of those. Like so. Come down with a chain 5, and connect to the same position where you just made your last stitch with a slip stitch. And now again going to be making 3 double crochets, and with the second we catch the wave that's here to the bottom. So that's 1 double crochet, And for the second, again between the chain 5 and the stitch, so in that space there insert your hook, and in the next stitch insert your hook. And in the last, or actually just the third double crochet is again a normal one. And you're still working everything in the front loop. You see how you're leaving this back loop here because you're going to need that again for that background we're going to be making. So that's the second wave and catching, and now we're going to do this again a third time. So start with a half treble, a treble, a double treble, and a triple treble. Yes, triple treble. If you tried saying that fast. And again, twice, 3 times over, and in the front loop only, work a second triple treble, then come down with a chain 5, come down, and work a slip stitch. 3 double crochets, that's 1. On the second you catch the wave that's here below, again between the chain 5 space and the stitch, and on the next stitch that you want to make the double crochet, and then that last double crochet, like so. At this point you should have 3 stitches left, those 3. You're going to work a double crochet on each of those, only the front loop. It's 1, 2, 3. That completes row 7, and you can see how you've now made another set of waves that are exactly in between the waves that you've made in row 3, and you've also caught your waves that are now connected to your work. So we're now at the end of row 7, and we've actually, this is a good point to just check how we are for size. So I'm just going to open up my stitch so nothing happens to it, and I'm just taking my gauge swatch, and you're thinking, here we go again. Yes, here we go again. It's very important that you keep double checking with your gauge swatch if you're still okay on size, because it's going to be continuously important during this entire CAL that you keep check of your squares that they're the correct size. Looking at where we are now, I'm especially checking for width. For height we'll check a little bit later on. Putting it on my gauge swatch, I can see, okay, I've got still the edge on both sides that I need to work, but for the rest this is actually very good indeed. I'm happy with this, and I'm going to continue using my 4mm hook. If your square is over or really short, go up or down a hook size at this point. So then go back and start again with a different hook size. I'm happy with this, so I'm going to continue, and on the next round we'll again be building background. Rows 8, 9 and 10 are exactly the same as 4, 5 and 6. So the background rows on these waves, so this bit here in between that you can see peeking out, you're basically going to be repeating that again. So I'll just show you the start. Chain 2, turn your work, and start by making half trebles in these back loops here that you still left untouched, and especially that first one again, because it's very easily to miss this first one. Work a half treble and work a half treble on every stitch, and then you're going to work 2 more rows of half trebles. So again, working 3 rows of half trebles, where the first is here in the back loop, and the second and third are just normal half trebles. Work in the entire stitch, and every time a chain 2, which does not count as a stitch but is just to help you turn and get to the correct height. So work 3 rows of half trebles. Row 11, we're again going to work in waves, basically the same as in the same position as these ones, and also be catching the waves that we made in row 7. So the waves are at the same position as row 3, but of course we need to catch these waves, so we're going to be doing the same on this tip as we've done on that tip. So start with a chain 1, does not count as a stitch but gets you to the correct height. Work 3 double crochets, everything again only in the front loop, very important, only in the front loop. So 1, 2, 3. Now we're going to work a double crochet and catch this wave here at the bottom. So that means first insert your hook between the chain 5 and the triple treble, and then catch the next stitch in the front loop only and work a double crochet. You still need to work one more double crochet, like so. This you're now going to repeat exactly like you've done here. You're going to work a wave. So that's a half treble followed by a treble, a double treble, and a triple treble. So it's 3 times over. And you take off 2 loops 4 times, and you need to do 2 of these. Everything I'm still working only in the front loop. Oops, that goes wrong. We do that again. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. There we go. That's the first wave. We need to come down, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 chain stitches, come down, and in the same position work a slip stitch. Now we're going to work 3 double crochets again. So in the first stitch, a double crochet. For the second, you catch the wave that's here to the bottom and pick up that next stitch. And then the third double crochet. Everything again only in front loops, leaving this loop here to the back available for your next background. Repeat. So this again going to do 2 more times. A half treble, yes, there we go, treble, a double treble, and then a triple treble, and make 2 of those. There we go. Need to come back down, so that's chain 5. Come back down and work a slip stitch. 3 double crochets, and the second we catch the last wave here to the bottom, and a third double crochet, like so. Now we still need to work one more wave. That's a half treble and followed by a treble, a double treble, and of course 2 triple trebles. That's wrong. It's 3 times over. And work 2 of those. and there we go, chain 5 to come back down, and close here with a slip stitch. At this point you should have 2 stitches left. You see that stitch and that stitch. On those two you're going to work a double crochet on each. That completes row 11, and this is again a good moment to check for size. So I have here my gauge swatch again, and this time I really want to check for height. This is my gauge piece. Put my work onto that, and what's important here is I really want to check if I'm on the right track height wise. Just open up and take out the hook like so. This is now roughly halfway because you've worked 3 waves and we're going to work 6 rows of waves. So this is about the halfway point height wise. So I'm just going to check how I am. And this is just a global check. Yeah, this is fine. I'm about halfway now, and I'm also halfway on my gauge swatch. I'm okay for width, but of course you can always double check that also. So this is going good. If you are at this point much higher or much lower, good chance that you'll also be wider or not wide enough. Change your hook size. Otherwise, if it's just the height issue, you're really going to have to look at the way you're working with your golden loop. Check the tips and tricks videos for that if you want to see how that works. So I'm okay height wise and width wise, so I can continue until the end of the this square with the same crochet hook and also the same way of working. We've now worked 11 rows, and from now on everything that you've already done you're just going to be repeating. So you're going to be repeating a background, so that's 4, 5 and 6, these ones, and it's the same as here. You're going to be doing again and again and again. So you're going to repeat rows 4, 5 and 6, so work a background row and then work another row of waves, and that's going to be the same row as this here, because your waves are going to be jumping left, right, left, right. They're going to go like this, so you have them nicely alternating in between. So then you're going to work a row like this, then again 3 background rows, and then another row of waves like this. You're going to continue until you have 6 rows of waves. Now you have 3, so you're going to make 3 more, and then I'll just show you how to do the last part of this square. So it's the last rows of background and catching those last rows, those last waves. So continue, do all your repeats, and then I'll see you towards the end of the video with the last part of this square. So we're now on to row 24. We've just finished row 23. That's this last row with waves. You now have in total 6 rows of waves. And for the next 3 rows you're again going to be making a background, and then in the row after that we're going to be catching these last waves. So we're going to do exactly what we've done before. Let's chain 2, then come down to these loops here at the back. You're going to work half trebles in all of these, also in the first one. So you're going to work half trebles in every loop here, and then continue and make 2 more rows of trebles, so a treble in every stitch. Then you have 3 rows of half trebles, not trebles, half. So you're working a half treble in every loop here, and then you work 2 more rows of half trebles, and then we're ready to make the last row in which we're going to be catching these waves here. So you're at row 27 now. You've done these 3 background rows with all of these half trebles, so 3 rows of half trebles. Now we're going to work a last row of half trebles and catch these waves that you have here. I'm going to start with a chain 2, again doesn't count for stitch, and work a half treble in the first 3 stitches. It's 1, 2, 3. Now we're catching this wave exactly the same we've done before, between the chain 5 and the double, triple, treble. Oh, I keep forgetting. Anyway, between the space. now work 7 half trebles, 7 half trebles. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 half trebles, and now catch the same wave again between the chain 5 and the stitch and into the next stitch, and you're working through both loops now, not only a front loop, just through both loops. Going to do this again, so this piece here you're going to do again. So on the next 7 stitches work a half treble. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, this is numbers 6 and number 7. Again, 7 half trebles. Now we're going to catch the next wave, the last one also, again between the chain 5 space and the stitch, and go into your next stitch and complete your half treble. At this point you should have 7 stitches left here. You're going to work a half treble on each. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and on the last stitch is number 7. So 7 half trebles. That completes the square as such. Now we still need to do an edge around the square. So to make the edge, we're basically going to do exactly the same as we've done all the weeks before. On every edge we're making 26 double crochets, and in the corner we're making 3. Start with a chain 1. It's just to get you through the correct height. And this pattern you had 27 rows and you need to do 26 stitches, so it's basically 1 per row. So that's 1, 2, 3. Now you've got this little bump here, that's from the chain 2. I'm just going to punch my hook right in there and make a double crochet. And what you're doing is if I continue just a little further, so you're actually working away that little bump. You can see it's still here, but here you don't see it anymore. And that's a nice thing about working this edge, is that all these little discontinuities you have or other things that don't look so nice, is that when you're working your edge you can work them away. So that your end square has a beautiful edge, an even edge. So I'm working 1 stitch on every row, a double crochet on every row, and when you get to a corner you work 3 double crochets in that corner, exactly like you've done before. Mark your second one so that you know where it is later, and close on your first stitch with a slip stitch or an invisible join. So when you've completed your square it looks like this. Take a moment to work away all your yarn tails and also block your square. You're going to make 4 of these in total. This is a color crafter version. If you have the merino softs, it is of course just ever so slightly bigger. These 2 are both from Dancing in the Sea. What I really like about the square this week is that these waves just fit the theme of dancing on the beach perfectly. Brings us to the end of this instruction video. I want to thank you for watching, and I hope to see you next week.